In every man's life, there comes a moment when he must choose whether to drift or drive, whether to coast on the wind of circumstance or grip the wheel of willpower and push forward, no matter the storm. Life will not hand success to the idle. It yields only to those who push themselves to make it happen, and that push begins not with the body, but with the mind, with the decision, with the definiteness of purpose that burns through hesitation and turns the impossible into inevitable. You must know what you want. Vague wishes produce vague results, but a definite aim, that's fuel for the furnace. When you define what you want so clearly that you can taste it, feel it, and see it before it arrives, your mind begins to move in ways it never has before. You wake up earlier, you work longer, you make sacrifices without complaint. Why? Because the goal is no longer a dream. It's a demand. It's a mission. There is a magic in knowing exactly what you want. The world shifts, doors open, people notice, opportunities begin to orbit your determination, most wander through life reacting. The few who push themselves do so because they have direction. They are not pulled by the currents. They walk with fire under their feet, guided by purpose. And the more definite the purpose, the stronger the push. Without a definite aim, you cannot summon the full force of your mind. You will hesitate. You will make excuses. You will entertain distractions. But when the goal is locked in, and you have made a firm decision to pursue it, no matter what, you become dangerous to mediocrity. You become immune to the ordinary. You become a force. Do not ask if it's possible. Ask if it's necessary. When your goal is necessary to your identity, to your future, to your legacy, then the push becomes natural. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You create your own path because you know where it leads, and nothing short of arrival will satisfy you. Every great achiever began with a clear and definite aim, not always large at first, but focused. Sharp, they didn't wait until they felt ready. They made a decision and moved. Movement feeds momentum, and momentum is what separates the stagnant from the successful. When your vision becomes non-negotiable, your energy aligns. Your habits align, your time aligns, there is no more room for maybe. There is only movement. It is not talent that wins, it is not intelligence. It is clarity, followed by action, fueled by belief. But belief alone is not enough. The second force, the one that builds the bridge from vision to reality, is self-discipline. Self-discipline is the iron spine of success. It is the muscle you build when you deny comfort, when you walk through pain, when you say no to now for the sake of later. Without it, all goals dissolve into fantasy. You can read all the books, watch all the speeches, and write down all the goals in the world, but without self-discipline, it remains ink on paper and smoke in the air. To push yourself is to master yourself, to override the voice that says I'm tired and replace it with I'm committed. To feel fear and move forward anyway, to feel boredom and keep building anyway. To feel failure and rise again anyway, that is self-discipline, and that is how you make it happen. The world is full of dreamers, but light on doers, and what separates the two is discipline. The willingness to do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Because the truth is, feelings are fleeting, but results last. Push through the fog of feeling and into the fire of commitment. Discipline is not a trait you're born with. It is a decision you make daily. It is a mental contract that you sign with yourself. I will do what is necessary, no matter how I feel. I will not wait for motivation. I will not rely on inspiration. I will move, I will push, I will execute. Those who wait for perfect conditions are ruled by weakness, but those who push through the imperfect become rulers of their fate. Your circumstances do not define your strength, your choices do. And discipline is the greatest choice you can make, day after day, especially when no one else is watching. Do not confuse convenience with progress. Most people choose what's easy, and then wonder why nothing changes. But the one who pushes himself, who sacrifices comfort, who keeps going after failure, after rejection, after setback, He becomes unstoppable because his discipline has become automatic. His habits have become weapons. His focus has become impenetrable. When others sleep, he builds. When others scroll, he studies. When others waste, he invests. This is not talent. It is the product of deliberate, repeated, intentional self-control, of doing the hard things long enough that they become second nature. Discipline rewires the brain. It turns chaos into order, desire into strategy, distraction into drive, but only if you push. Only if you persist. Only if you stop negotiating with excuses and start commanding yourself like a general leading an army. You are that general, and your army is every thought, every action, every moment you live. If you let your mind go unchecked, it will drift. But if you discipline it, if you take charge of it, if you give it commands with conviction, it will obey. It will perform. It will build the life you envision. Make no mistake. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is not suppression. It is expansion. The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you gain. Freedom to create. Freedom to grow. Freedom to walk into your destiny without chains. When you build discipline, you no longer hope things happen. You make them happen. You do not sit back and wait. You stand up and work. You do not pray for miracles. You act like one. And in the process, you prove to yourself that you are greater than your feelings, stronger than your doubts, and capable of far more than you ever imagined. But you must start now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because every delay feeds weakness. Every excuse strengthens the wall between you and your goal. Tear it down, one disciplined act at a time. One hard choice at a time. One powerful push at a time. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you build proof that you can be trusted with your future. You build a track record of resilience. You earn respect not from others, but from yourself. And self-respect is the foundation of unstoppable belief. When you trust yourself, when you know you will show up, no matter how hard it gets, you become invincible. You will not always feel like pushing, that's the truth, but the beauty is you don't need to feel it. You just need to do it. Feelings follow action, motivation comes after movement, and every time you move, you get closer to making it real, to making it count, to making it happen. Every worthwhile transformation begins in a place of discomfort, that place you avoid, that place you pretend doesn't exist. The truth is simple. If you always stay where it's comfortable, you'll always stay where it's average. Comfort may feel safe, but it's a silent killer of dreams. The moment you feel uneasy, uncertain, afraid, that's the exact moment the universe is offering you a choice. Shrink or stretch, retreat or rise, quit or push. Growth doesn't live in routine. It lives on the edge. To push yourself, you must become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You must welcome the resistance. Resistance is a sign that you're getting close to something that matters. It's the body screaming for safety while the soul is craving expansion. And most people listen to the scream instead of following the craving. But not you. Not if you truly want to make it happen. Discomfort is the tuition you pay to evolve. The cost of breaking old patterns, the toll at the gate of greatness. You can't cheat it. You can't bypass it. You must go through it. That's why those who are willing to endure it rise while the rest remain spectators. Look around, you'll see many who once had dreams but now walk like ghosts through life. Not because they weren't capable, but because they avoided discomfort. They refused the test. They didn't push. The body resists stress. The mind resists change. But the spirit knows. The spirit whispers, keep going, just a little further. There's more in you. And that whisper is often drowned out by noise. But those who listen, those who train themselves to follow that voice, they awaken something unshakable. They discover a version of themselves that only appears when pressure is applied. Pressure doesn't break the strong. It reveals them. If you want to be forged like iron, you must enter the fire. If you want to be sharp like a blade, you must embrace the grind. Greatness isn't born in ease. It is carved out in sweat, tears, pain, silence, rejection, and lonely hours. It is shaped by the decision to keep moving forward when everything inside you begs to stop. Discomfort exposes your fears, it strips away pretense, it shows you what you're really made of. Most turn away when they see the rawness of their own reflection in challenge. But the few, the rare few, use that moment as fuel. They don't flinch when life gets hard. They lean in, because they know the hard is the shortcut. The struggle is the secret. The pain is the proof that you're building something real. Every successful person you admire once stood in that fire and made a choice to keep going. They didn't escape discomfort. They mastered it. They trained their minds to reinterpret pain as progress. They learned to love the parts of the journey no one sees, the discipline, the delays, the doubts, the difficulty, because those moments are sacred. Those are the moments where confidence is born, not from praise, but from persistence. But this kind of power isn't random. It's trained. It's built from the inside out. And that training begins with one of the most overlooked, yet most potent forces in the human mind, autosuggestion. What you say to yourself about yourself over time becomes who you are. Your inner dialogue writes the script of your destiny. You can either use that power to lift yourself or destroy yourself. You can speak life into your goals, or you can dig graves with negative repetition. But you cannot stay neutral. Every thought repeated with belief becomes a command to your subconscious. If you tell yourself, I can't, your mind will obey. If you tell yourself, I'm tired, your body will follow. But if you program yourself every day with conviction, with faith, with fire, I will, I must, I'm ready, I've got more in me, then your entire system begins to align. Your beliefs, your emotions, your energy, your focus. They start walking in the same direction. This is not fantasy, this is science of success. The mind is programmable, and those who become masters of their fate are masters of their language. They use repetition to rewrite who they are. They do not rely on chance to build confidence. They build it word by word, phrase by phrase, moment by moment. They use autosuggestion not as a trick, but as a tool. You must speak to yourself like your future depends on it, because it does. You must recite your vision daily until it becomes a part of you. Not once, not when it's convenient, but consistently, with intensity, with authority. You must look in the mirror and speak to the person you are becoming, not the one you've been. Every morning, when you rise, you must declare your direction. You must feed your mind words that empower you to act, not words that allow you to retreat. The world is already full of noise telling you what you can't do. Your job is to make your internal voice louder, stronger, and unbreakable. That voice will push you when you're tired. That voice will hold the line when others fold. That voice will carry you across the finish line when your legs give out, but you must program it. You must sit down with your goals, write them out with emotion, and speak them aloud until you feel your pulse shift, until you believe, not just hope, believe. That belief, when fused with daily repetition, becomes identity. And identity dictates action. You don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you think you are. Change your internal language, and you will change your entire life. You will no longer wait for someone to believe in you. You will no longer need approval, validation, or permission. You will become self-fueled, self-powered, and that inner drive will become so relentless that external obstacles lose their strength. It is not enough to have dreams. You must affirm them. It is not enough to want more. You must tell yourself, with power and consistency, that you are capable of more. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. If you feed it success, if you describe it to yourself with detail and emotion, your mind will begin to move you toward it without resistance. This is why the great ones win, because before they ever step onto the stage, into the boardroom, into the arena, they've already won the battle inside. They've already told themselves again and again, what they are, who they are, and what they will accomplish. And because they've repeated it so often, with such belief, the world has no choice but to catch up to the vision they've already accepted as truth. But the process requires intensity. It requires faith. It requires you to declare victory before anyone else sees it. It requires you to look like a fool to the weak-minded, while your vision solidifies in secret. This is not about magic, it's about mastery. Mastery of the inner world, so you can dominate the outer world. And that begins with controlling your thoughts, directing your words, and pushing yourself through the power of your own suggestion. Faith is the starting point, but faith alone is not enough. Belief without action is like a seed without soil. You can carry the vision in your heart, repeat affirmations every morning, see the life you want in your mind's eye. But if your feet don't move, if your hands don't build, if your hours aren't invested, nothing happens. The great secret is that faith is only as powerful as the action it produces. Belief must walk beside discipline. Vision must partner with execution. Dreams must hold hands with labor. That's the formula. People pray for success, but work like they expect failure. They believe in possibility, but behave like victims. They speak words of ambition, but make decisions rooted in fear. That kind of life is divided. You cannot ascend with a split mind. You must become one with your dream, mind, body, and spirit, fused together by action driven by unshakable faith. Faith says it's possible. Action says I will make it happen. And when those two forces unite, something powerful begins to stir. Faith keeps you grounded when results are invisible. Action keeps you progressing even when momentum is slow. And together, they become the twin engines that carry you through adversity, through setbacks, through the wilderness between the goal and its reward. You cannot wait until you feel certain. Faith doesn't mean you won't have doubt. It means you'll move anyway. You act as if the outcome is guaranteed, not because it is, but because that belief gives you the strength to persist long enough to create your own guarantee. Most never act because they fear failure, but they never realize that inaction is the greatest failure of all. The world belongs to those who move, not the smartest, not the luckiest, but the ones who decide. The ones who act, adjust, correct, repeat, and push through. The ones who don't just believe in miracles. They become the miracle through sheer movement. The hands that build are always more powerful than the mouths that wish. When your actions align with your belief, mountains move, resources find you, people notice, and momentum catches fire. Don't just speak it, walk it. Don't just visualize it, work for it. Don't just feel good about your dreams, fight for them. Let your faith shape your behavior. Let your actions make your belief undeniable. Let your commitment silence doubt. Faith is not a wish. It is the courage to step when you cannot see the staircase. It is waking up every day and choosing to give more, risk more, become more, even when there are no guarantees, no applause, and no immediate return. That is the kind of faith that creates giants. That is the kind of belief that makes people legendary. Not blind hope, but relentless, consistent daily motion. Each small step, fueled by belief, reinforced by purpose, becomes a brick in the foundation of something eternal. And that leads to the one trait that separates the doers from the legends: persistence. Persistence is the master key. It is the one ingredient that multiplies all others. Talent without persistence dies unknown. Intelligence without persistence gets passed by. Passion without persistence flickers out. But even the average person, armed with unrelenting persistence, becomes a force that cannot be ignored. They outlast the critics, they outwork the skeptics, they outperform the privileged, they simply refuse to stop. The road to greatness is not linear, it's not clean, it's not fair, it is brutal, unpredictable, and demanding. It will test your loyalty to your vision. It will present you with delays that feel like denial. It will break you in places you thought were already strong. But the one who persists, who gets up again and again, with fire in their eyes and grit in their soul, That person is inevitable. You will be ignored. Persist, you will be doubted. Persist, you will fail publicly. Persist, you will feel alone. Persist, because persistence is the long game, the internal engine, the quiet force that whispers, "This is not where it ends." It is not a personality trait. It is a decision, a muscle, a daily contract you sign with destiny that says, "No matter what happens, I'm not stopping." You don't need to be perfect. You need to be persistent. You don't need everything to go right. You need to keep going when everything goes wrong. You don't need all the answers. You need the courage to keep asking, seeking, climbing, even when the world throws walls in your path. Every no you face is one step closer to a yes that matters. Every setback is a setup for someone who refuses to fold. The difference between average and elite is not found in what they start. It's found in what they finish. Persistence doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't depend on motivation. It doesn't demand that conditions be perfect. It just keeps showing up, day after day, hour after hour, relentless, committed, unyielding, and slowly the universe begins to bend. Opportunities begin to unlock. Success begins to yield. There is a hidden power in continuing when others quit, in doing one more rep, one more call, one more hour, one more draft, one more sacrifice. Every extra step you take, especially when it's hard, is a step most will never take, and that is what separates you, not just skill but stamina, not just desire but durability, not just dreams but drive. Persistence is what turns pressure into purpose. It turns breakdowns into breakthroughs. It turns rejection into redirection. It is the only force strong enough to carve a path through chaos and turn resistance into reward. But it cannot be borrowed. It must be built, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one test at a time. It won't always be obvious that your persistence is working. That's the trap. It often looks like nothing is happening. Like you're stuck. Like you're spinning your wheels, but underneath the surface, everything is shifting. The compound effect is real. One small effort stacked on top of another begins to grow roots, invisible at first, then undeniable. Most give up because they stop too soon. They quit when they are inches from the gold. But the persistent, they keep digging, they keep walking, they keep swinging, because they understand that time is not the enemy. It's an ally. The longer they stay in the game, the better their odds. The longer they push, the more unstoppable they become. And over time, the world bends for the one who refuses to break, not because they had it easy, but because they refused to exit. They stayed when it was hard. They showed up when it was inconvenient. They did the work in the dark. And because they didn't stop, the world eventually had no choice but to make room for them. So if you want the world to notice you, outlast it. If you want to rise above the noise, outwork it. If you want to turn a dream into something tangible, persist every obstacle in your way. There are no shortcuts, only systems. No hacks, only habits. And the most powerful habit of all is to never, ever stop moving forward. No matter what, success does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who push. When you decide what you want with clarity, discipline yourself to act, embrace discomfort as a path to power, rewire your thoughts through auto-suggestion, fuel every move with unshakable faith, and persist beyond all resistance, you become unstoppable. The world yields to the one who refuses to quit, who combines inner belief with outer effort. This is how you rise, from thought to action, from fear to courage, from average to greatness. Push yourself. Make it happen, because no one else will do it for you.